With the Rangers managerial saga almost at an end, we can now move to the other side of Glasgow as the Celtic Fans Collective have launched Not Another Penny campaign. Welcome back to Fog Football. Celtic and their board. Things have kind of quieted down over the past couple of weeks, but they're beginning to get ramped up a wee bit here, aren't they? And before we dive into it, Not Another Penny, what does that say to you? That tells me that they're not going to put another penny into the club.
No more money for Celtic Football Club.
But they're going to be spending money on a match day ticket. Now, we'll get into the actual statements in a minute, but for me, if you're labelling something called Not Another Penny, but then proceed to be putting money into the club by buying match day tickets, it kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't it? Why not just not spend anything? Like, seriously, see this whole gimmick of, oh, we're not going to put another penny in. I'm not going to buy any pies. I'm not going to buy any drink. I'm not going to buy any stadium tours. No, I'm not actually aware of how much a stadium tour costs, right? But if you stick more with the food side of things, right? The cost of a pie is way less than a match day ticket. So therefore, what's hurting their pockets more?
Yeah, the match day tickets.
Now, what you could argue is if you're paying
A lot of them are already bought, though.
You can't buy a pie without buying a ticket, because then you need to get into the stadium to buy it.
A lot of the tickets, though, are going to be season tickets as well, though, so that's already
Well, what
bought
about the
for.
people that aren't, though?
Well, I guess, no, that's true.
Why not?
And the aways as
Why
well.
not?
The away
Why not
section
give
as
away
well.
your ticket to fans that are willing to still spend money? Because maybe they're not on the best of terms. Who knows? But let's see what's going on there.
Well, why would they do that?
What?
Why would they give their ticket away to fans that are willing to spend money? That defeats their purpose. They don't want the board to make any money. They don't want to put any more money into the club. So why would they give away their ticket to a fan that is going to actually go and spend money?
Who knows? Well, they're not going to. I know they're not.
So why would you even say that?
Because I said what I said.
Do you want to retract that?
It's my birthday today.
Would you like to retract that?
It's my birthday today.
A happy birthday. Would you like to retract that?
What did I say again? I'm fucking hanging on here. I'm not going to fucking be...
I know you've had a lack of sleep, but you said, why don't they give their tickets away to fans that are actually going to go and spend money at the game? Because they don't want money put into the club. That's the whole point.
Alright, but why go then?
Because they want to watch their team play. They're Celtic fans. They want to be able to watch their team without lining the pockets of the board any more than they have to.
Yeah, but what happens if you go to the game and you get a wee bit thirsty? You know what I mean?
You bring your own drink. Or you go and drink the water at the bathrooms. Maybe only the blue side do that, I don't know.
Right, you need to fucking reel it in there. Right,
okay.
But we'll dive into this. So, this is what the Celtic Fans Collective said. Following widespread agreement among member groups at last night's meeting, the Celtic Fans Collective is launching Not Another Penny campaign, effective immediately. Far too long the Celtic board has taken supporters for granted. They are responsible for repeated failures in Europe, an archaic transfer strategy, a collection of Neds who have grossly outstayed their welcome, inflated ticket prices and unfair distribution, a neglected stadium, a stale atmosphere, a non-existent fan engagement model, an underperforming academy, an underfunded women's team, and a pitch unfit for playing football the Celtic way. These are just some of the failures which expose an out-of-touch board and make a mockery of their claim to be world-class in everything we do. End of quote. So a lot to get into here. I mean, what are the Celtic fans? No, sorry, not the Celtic fans. What are the Celtic board, right? One minute you hear them get called Tories, now we're seeing them get labelled fucking Neds. You can't really be both, can you?
Nah, it's like the complete opposite, isn't it?
So
Never
what-
seen a Ned Tory.
Yeah, I mean, again, let's go through this. So, repeated failures in Europe. I mean, the Celtic board commit themselves and said something along the lines that as long as we're in Champions League 3 out of 5 years, we deem that a success. I would say Celtic have had success in Europe the last 5 years. I don't think people can really complain too much about it, right? Where I think the failures lie is the fact that previously they haven't been able to get out of knockout rounds in like Conference League and Europa League. Because that's not really acceptable. Champions League, it's always going to be tough, right? Transfer strategy getting bashed. Window was poor. We'll accept that. The whole Neds, like I've just said, you can't really be Tories and Neds, but they've outstayed their welcome. Inflated ticket prices. Right. Ticket prices. I'm not saying I have the Celtic website up looking at ticket prices, but I mean, to base it off Rangers, I think ticket prices across the board are going up. I don't think this is a Celtic thing, and do the Celtic board want to be left behind in that at the end of the day? I mean, put it this way: if say Rangers are charging 50 quid a ticket, should the Celtic board charge 30 quid a ticket just to be like, oh look, we're proving a point? Because eventually that's going to add up.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I don't see how you can expect boards or clubs to just facilitate fans just to fit an agenda. End of the day, yeah, they've got a lot of money in the bank, but to maintain a stability from a financial perspective, you can't just put the ticket prices down for the sake of it. You're going to need...
Ticket prices are never going to go down. We're getting to the point where ticket prices will either stay put or they'll go up. I don't see... the further we go in the world, it just makes no sense that the ticket prices are going to go down. I just don't think that's going to happen. It's not very realistic.
No, it says here...
Everything's going up.
Unfair distribution, I believe that's remarks towards what's happened. I think, what was it? The Green Brigade, I believe, are not going to the semi-final. And, I can't even be arsed getting into it. Tickets are not being distributed right. So, a neglected stadium, that storm hit, obviously, back in when was it, January, and it knocked like a couple of the panels down. They've no fixed that. Again, that is pathetic. There's no real excuse for that not to happen. The next thing though, a stale atmosphere, right? Why is the atmosphere stale at Celtic? I would argue that is more on Rodgers than the board. Now, yeah, the board have created a negative atmosphere to a degree, but why? A stale atmosphere is not to do with the board. That's to do with the style of play for me.
It's also the fans that create the atmosphere, though, as well.
Yeah, it is, but well, we've been down this road before. Who's more to blame then for a stale atmosphere? The board, the fans, or the manager?
I'd say the fans, but then again, you could argue that if the board and the manager and the team and the players aren't really giving the fans anything to be excited about or to create an atmosphere over, then I guess you can blame it on them. Right. Maybe it's just a collective. Maybe just Celtic right now are underperforming and they're going through a tricky patch, and it's a combination of things that are to blame.
A non-existent fan engagement model. So, right. I think people need to wake up and smell the coffee here, right? The vast majority of Celtic fans hate their board. They openly admit that, right? Is it any surprise that the Celtic board are non-existent in terms of engagement with the fans? I mean, come on, man. Any neutral, right, looking at this is going to think that Celtic fans are ungrateful.
Oh, absolutely.
And that no wonder the Celtic board's got nothing to do with their fans. That doesn't mean the Celtic fans are wrong, but if you're a Celtic fan, you would have to be 100% naive not to be able to see a neutral's point of view. You'd have to be.
Agreed.
You can't just look at the Celtic board and put 100% of the blame on them here for a non-existent fan engagement. I mean, all we're seeing them get is abuse. They're getting labelled Tories, they're getting labelled Neds, they're getting labelled everything. I mean, they're essentially getting labelled like liars and that they're unfit for purpose. So is it any wonder they don't want to talk to people that's calling them all these things?
No, I agree.
So, again, I think very much to blame there, the fans. An underperforming academy, don't really know too much about that, don't care. An underfunded women's team, again, don't care for women's football. To me, this is a double-edged sword, right? Seeing you're on top and you're dominating men's football, you can point at this, right?
See, if Celtic were great, though, they wouldn't care about this. This wouldn't be getting brought up.
Yeah, but at the same time, if Celtic were doing shite and the women's team was doing good, it wouldn't be respite. Who would give a fuck?
Yeah. But at the same time, if they were doing great, I don't think they'd care enough to bring this up.
Yeah. It's like the Rangers women's team. I couldn't tell you what they've done in the last 5 years. I don't care. I don't care what they've done. I'm not going to fucking sit here and gaslight people and pretend.
Yeah,
I don't give a. I do not give one shit.
No fan's ever going to accept. Well, the men's team's doing shite at the moment, but at least the women's team's doing great. No fan's going to accept that.
Yeah, I mean, it talks about an underfunded women's team.
I mean,
you can't even get the Celtic board to fund your team for the Champions League in the men's football where it matters. They're sure as fuck not going to fund the women's team. No wonder it's underfunded. The men's team's underfunded, for fuck's sake, according to these people. And a pitch unfit for playing football the Celtic way. Right, seen a fair number of games at Celtic Park this season on TV. Does the pitch look unfit to you?
Pitch looks fine. Well, what we're seeing on the pitch doesn't look that great, but I think the actual pitch itself doesn't look that bad.
Right, so we've debunked a few things there. There's a few things the Celtic Fans Collective are. They're onto something, and there's a few things I think they're talking a wee bit of shite on. Anyway, moving on. So, I'm not going to read all of this, but essentially, this is what they're saying. The Not Another Penny campaign is the next step in that effort to protest against the Celtic board and the names that we've all came accustomed to here. So from today, they will commit to no more merchandise purchases, no more food and drink at Celtic Park, no more stadium tours, bars, restaurants or club run events, nothing beyond a match ticket. So, thoughts on that? There'll be no kits getting bought, there'll be no drink getting bought, there'll be no food getting bought, no stadium tours, no Celtic bars, no restaurants, no club run events. There'll be nothing beyond a match ticket. So, is this correct? It says it'll be reviewed on the 3rd of February. Will things be looking better on the 3rd of February? I don't know.
Well, I mean, they're entitled to do that, and if that's their way of hurting the Celtic board and to try and get the Celtic board into action, then fair enough. I think that's... I mean, obviously that's probably the best way to hurt people, especially people that only care about money, hurt them in the pocket. So, I think they're entitled to go down that route. But it will need to be a collective of fans. It will need to be a large majority of them. I mean, if 100 people just decide they ain't going to buy anything, that's not really going to change much. If you're looking at Celtic Park, 60,000 fans there, alright, if half aren't buying anything, then that will affect them big time. But if it's only like a small percentage, then I don't think it's going to be having that much of a massive effect.
Yeah, but like these are protests, right? A part of the season where the league's still very much alive, obviously. Both cups are still in it. In Europe, alright, shite start, but it's not like irredeemable at this point. Well, what's this situation going to look like for Celtic? Let's be real, right? Celtic have had it great now for a number of years. At some point, it's going to go to shit. Might not be this season, might not be next, might be 10 years from now. But what's the protest going to be like then?
Yeah.
Like, if you're doing this extent of a protest right here in 2025, on the back of, 4 in a row, before that, 9 in a row, countless trebles, what's it going to look like? What would this set of Celtic supporters in 2025 have done back in the day, during the 90s?
I mean, they'd have been going nuts, wouldn't they? Because that was really tough times. No, watching your rivals dominate and almost going to do 10 in a row.
This must be good news for you, though.
Right.
Well, Hearts are going up against a disgruntled Celtic fan base here.
We'll see what happens in a few weeks' time. Not going to get too excited about it.
Now, it says it will be reviewed on the 3rd of February. I don't recall the exact date the January transfer window closes, but I'm going to assume it will be pretty close to the 3rd of February. So they'll be seeing... I mean, is this going to last, right? They were doing their wee minutes of silence and pockets of silence, whatever the fuck they called it a couple of weeks ago during the Braga game, but it got cancelled because the board essentially said, alright, we're going to meet with you, and then they did, and nothing's came for that. Do you think a penny will be spent between now and February, or do you think they're going to stand firm here?
February's a long time away, we'll see.
Yeah, but what can the Celtic board do, right? Between now and the 31st of December to...
Beg for forgiveness? Promise to spend more money in the next transfer window? Don't know.
No, yeah, what can they actually do?
Maybe the only thing the board can do is make it right in January by giving them the transfer window that they want. Is there any words that the board can... Is there a statement that the board can make that the fans would be like, alright, we accept that and we're willing to let this go? Or is it going to take action?
Probably going to have to take action to some degree. We've seen they were linked with a £6 million guy yesterday, Celtic. I can't what was his name? Don't know, man. He played for Derby. He's now playing for Leipzig. So will they get him in? Who knows? But that will do it for this video. Celtic Fans Collective, not another penny. We'll see how this ends up. But yeah, both Glasgow teams in a wee bit of a pickle right now.
Not doing good.
Not doing good at all. Anyway, till next time. Peace.